The harbor comes first, always does when you drive into Lakeport from the interstate. Cold blue water stretching past the breakwall, cargo cranes like iron prayers against the October sky. I used to time my deployments by those cranes. Count them on the way out, count them coming home. Today there are two new ones, painted bright yellow. Part of the city's comeback story they keep selling in the papers. My truck coughs past the old Bethlehem Steel gates, now converted to artist studios and microbreweries. Progress, I guess. The kind that looks good in grant applications. I pull into my mother's driveway. The same cracked concrete, the same chain-link fence I helped Dad install when I was 12 and Evan was 9. The bungalow needs new siding, but the flower boxes are perfect. That's Sofia Reyes for you. Make beauty where you can. Before we jump back in, tell us where you're tuning in from. And if this story touches you, make sure you're subscribed, because tomorrow I've saved something extra special for you. She's at the door before I kill the engine, wiping flour hands on her apron. "Mijo, you're early." "Missed you too, Mom." I grab my duffel from the truck bed. Army surplus, older than my marriage to the reserve. She hugs me like I've been gone years instead of months. And for a second, I let myself sink into it. Coffee and vanilla, safety and home. "Evan's already at the venue," she says, leading me inside. "Something about lighting tests for his Instagram." I drop the bag by the stairs. Everything's the same. Family photos on the mantle, Dad's law degree hung too high on the wall, the couch where I used to do homework while Evan played video games. "How's he holding up?" "Nervous? Happy? You know Evan." She pauses. "Your father wants you both there by 11 for the walkthrough." I check my watch. 10:30. Guess I better head over. The courthouse-turned-museum sits downtown where commerce meets the water. Solid limestone, built to last when this city meant something. A historical marker by the entrance talks about justice and community. But today it's all white tents and rental trucks. A crew in matching polos wheels in carts of flowers and fabric. I find Evan by the main entrance, phone in hand, capturing the perfect angle of himself against the building's carved columns. 3 takes before he notices me. "Noah, bro, you made it." He's got that influencer glow, teeth too white, tan too even for October in Michigan. We hug, and I feel how much gym time he's been putting in. "This place is incredible, right? Way better than the Lake House." Lake House? Original venue fell through last week. Some permit thing. But this is perfect. All that history, very authentic. I glance around. A welcome board by the door lists sponsors. Evan's Gym, a few local businesses, and something called the Heart Reyes Community Wellness Fund in elegant script. Never heard of it. Who's running the wellness fund? Evan's already back on his phone. Dad handled all that stuff. Community outreach, good optics. "Hey, can you grab that ribbon? It fell off the arch." I pocket the folded silk ribbon. Same elegant script, same fund name. Inside, a man in a museum badge juggles clipboards and looks harried. "You must be Noah. Carlo Benedetti, venue director. Your brother's got quite the production planned." Through the main hall, I catch sight of an older woman reviewing ceremony notes at a small table. Regal bearing, silver hair swept back. A young girl beside her sketches in a notebook. Gulls over water. Remarkably detailed. Something feels staged here, polished in a way that doesn't match Evan's usual chaos. But maybe that's wedding planning. Maybe I'm seeing problems where there aren't any. Maybe. The waterfront restaurant glows like a postcard. Fairy lights strung between dock posts, Lake Michigan lapping at the pier below. 2 families pretending to be one for the cameras. Evan's crowd clusters around the bar. Gym buddies with protein shake tans, and Lila's design clients in artfully distressed denim. The real divide isn't money, it's authenticity. Mason Cole arrives straight from a job site, Carhartt jacket over his good shirt, grease still under his nails. He slides into the seat beside me and nods towards Evan's entourage. Christ, do they all look like that? Careful, that's your future brother-in-law's brand. Yeah? What's he selling? Before I can answer, Dad's voice cuts through the chatter. Robert Reyes in his element. Armani suit, gold watch catching the light. Working the room like a courtroom.
Applause. Lila beams from her chair, hand in Evan's. Even I'm smiling, until Dad's tone shifts. Now, Evan's always been the ambitious one in our family. Built himself a business, a following, a future. He pauses, letting it land. Unlike his older brother, who's content to, well, let's say Noah's never quite figured out how to become anything. The room laughs. Polite, uncomfortable laughter that cuts deeper than silence. Evan's face flushes, but he doesn't speak up, just forces a grin and raises his glass. I focus on my breathing. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Standard de-escalation, like talking down a drunk at a call. Don't react, don't give him the scene he wants. But across the table, I catch Judge Marjorie Hale, Lila's grandmother, watching me with sharp eyes. Not pitying, assessing, like she's taking notes on how a man handles humiliation. Mason leans close, slides a folded paper across the white tablecloth. Found this by the bar. Thought you'd want to see. It's a catering invoice. 2 line items, for the same menu, same date. One billed to Rhea's Heart Wedding, the other to Community Wellness Fund Special Event Catering. Both signed by someone at Dad's firm. Need some air, I tell Mason, pocketing the paper. Outside on the pier, the harbor lights reflect in the black water like scattered coins. Behind me, the party continues. Dad probably moved on to lawyer jokes, Evan back to his phone, everyone pretending the knife didn't go in clean. But it did. And now I'm holding a piece of paper that suggests my family's latest celebration might be built on something rotten. The medic in me starts making lists, questions to ask, people to check with, evidence to gather. Just like triage. Stop the bleeding first, then figure out why it started. Time to find out what the Heart Reyes Community Wellness Fund actually does.
Seemed like a lot of materials for sponsor recognition. Heavy crates, professional movers? Mason whistles low. Noah, we should... A car door slams in the parking lot. All 4 of us turn. A sleek sedan pulls away. Too dark to see plates, but the silhouette behind the wheel looks familiar. Broad shoulders, expensive suit profile. Was someone watching us? Tay asks. I pocket my phone with the photos. Probably just late-night security. Carlo, thanks for the access. We'll grab that jacket and get out of your hair. But as we head inside, I'm thinking about pattern recognition. In combat medicine, you learn to read signs, vital patterns, injury combinations, behaviors that predict shock. Right now, every instinct I have is saying the same thing. Something's bleeding, and we need to find the source before tomorrow's ceremony becomes a casualty event. The question is whether my own family is holding the knife. The lakeshore is empty at 6 a.m., just gulls and the sound of water against stone. I find Evan doing push-ups on the sand, phone propped against a driftwood log to capture the perfect angle. Golden hour lighting, lake in the background, groom's pre-wedding fitness routine, content for the algorithm. 37, 38? He spots me and breaks form. Noah, what are you doing here? We need to talk. He sits back on his heels, breathing hard, sweat beads on his forehead despite the October chill. Dude, it's my wedding day. Can it wait until... No. I pull out the catering invoice, the photo of Tay's email, Carlo's access logs. Tell me about the Heart Reyes Community Wellness Fund. His face goes blank for a second too long. Then the charm kicks in. It's for the community. Dad set it up to help local businesses, sponsor youth programs. Very cool, actually. Leela's really into giving back. Which youth programs? Pastor Jonah's Pantry, I think? Look, Dad handled all that paperwork. I just signed where he tells me to sign. I call Pastor Jonah's number from the church website, put it on speaker. 3 rings before a gentle voice answers. Pastor Kim speaking? Pastor, this is Noah Reyes. Quick question about the Community Wellness Fund donations to your pantry. A pause. I'm sorry, which donations? Evan's face drains color. I keep my voice steady. The Hart Reyes Community Wellness Fund, wedding sponsorship money designated for community outreach. Mr. Reyes, I haven't received any donations under that name. We were promised funding for our food program months ago, but nothing's come through. I've been calling your father's office, but they keep saying it's in process. I end the call. Evan stares at the phone like it bit him. Ev, where did you think the money was going? Dad said it was handled. Community partnership, tax benefits, good publicity. He runs his hands through his hair, destroying his perfect styling. Jesus, Noah, what are you saying? I'm saying someone's using your wedding to launder sponsor money through a fake charity, and your signature's on the paperwork. He stands, paces to the lakeshore's edge. In the morning light, he looks younger than his 28 years old, like the kid who used to follow me around, asking to help with everything I did. What do I do? Tell Leela, today, before you walk down that aisle. She'll call off the wedding. Maybe. Or maybe she'll help you fix it. I step closer. Ev, you're not Dad. You don't have to choose image over integrity. He's quiet for a long time, watching cargo ships on the horizon. Finally, what if I can't fix it? What if it's too big? Then we face it together, like brothers should. But I can see the fear in his eyes. The wedding's in 6 hours, 300 guests, live streamed to his followers, everything he's built his identity around. Truth is expensive, and Evan has never been good with hard currency. I need time to think. You've got until hair and makeup call. After that, I tell Leela myself. He nods, not looking at me, just my little brother caught between who he is and who he's afraid to become. Leela's lakeside estate buzzes with pre-ceremony chaos. Hairstylists, makeup artists, bridesmaids in matching robes clutching mimosas. I find Sofia by the catering station, arranging boutonnieres with the precision of someone who's managed cafeteria logistics for 20 years. Mijo, what are you doing here? Men aren't supposed to see... I need 5 minutes with Leela, alone. Something in my voice stops her protest. She glances toward the bridal suite, then back to me. Noah, today is important. I know. That's why this can't wait.
Lila's suite overlooks the water through floor-to-ceiling windows. She sits in a silk robe at an antique vanity, hair half-pinned, makeup artist working on her eyes. Wedding vows lie scattered across the marble surface in her neat handwriting. Noah, she brightens, you're not supposed to... Wait, is everything okay? I glance at the makeup artist. Could we have a moment? The woman looks to Lila, who nods. 5 minutes. Then we really need to finish. When we're alone, I lay out the evidence. Invoices, access logs, the failed phone call to Pastor Jonah. Lila listens without interruption, her expression shifting from confusion to concern to something harder. Show me, she says, pulling her laptop from a tote bag. Her fingers fly across the keyboard, accessing vendor management files. These payments... She opens a spreadsheet, cross-references dates. Look at this routing. 3 invoices for the same services, all going through different entities. She clicks through to a banking interface. This Shell account was opened 2 weeks ago. The contact person is... Her voice trails off. Maria Santos. That's your father's paralegal. Priya Anand appears in the doorway. Local journalist, but here is Lila's friend. She's traded her reporter's blazer for a bridesmaid's dress, but her eyes are sharp as ever. Everything all right? Priya asks, noticing our hunched posture over the laptop. Lila looks up. Priya, if someone was using a wedding to launder sponsor money through fake community donations, what would you need to prove it? Documentation, paper trails, banking records, witness statements. She steps closer. Why? We walk her through it. Priya asks the right questions, maps the timeline with journalists' precision. No sensationalism, just facts building into an undeniable pattern.
This is fraud. Wire fraud, charity fraud, probably tax evasion. Lila, you need to consider calling it off. Lila's voice is steady. I know. A soft knock interrupts us. Riley, Lila's young niece, peeks around the doorframe. She's maybe 10, clutching a sketchbook, wearing a flower girl dress that somehow makes her look more serious. Aunt Lila, Grandma Judge says it's almost time for... She stops, staring at me, specifically at the medic patch keychain hanging from my keys on the vanity. Her eyes go wide. She flips through her sketchbook, finds a detailed drawing, a man in work clothes kneeling by a car wreck, treating a small girl's injuries. The medic patch on his jacket is unmistakable. It's him, she whispers. The room goes quiet. Lila looks from Riley to me, understanding dawning. Noah, what is she talking about? But I already know. Winter night, 3 years ago, highway pileup on I-94. Little girl trapped in the back seat, hypothermic, bleeding from a head wound. I stabilized her until the ambulance arrived, then slipped away before anyone could ask questions. Riley looks up at me with those serious eyes. You saved me! And suddenly this isn't just about money or family loyalty or wedding day politics. It's about what kind of man walks away from recognition and what kind of truth is worth fighting for. The Courthouse Museum's main hall has been transformed into something from a magazine spread. White chairs in perfect rows, flowers cascading from the old judge's bench, afternoon light streaming through tall windows onto polished oak floors. 300 guests rise as the processional music begins. I stand at Evan's side, watching faces turn toward the back of the hall. Dad beams in the front row, his moment to shine. Local politicians, business leaders, Evan's influencer friends already filming everything. The whole spectacle feels hollow now, knowing what I know. Evan's hands shake as he adjusts his cufflinks. Did you talk to her? He whispers. She knows. Question is what she decides to do about it. The bridesmaids float down the aisle in sage green silk. Then the music swells, and there's Lila in her grandmother's vintage lace, walking steady and sure on her father's arm. But her eyes find mine over Evan's shoulder, and I see the decision there. Pastor Jonah takes his place at the old bench. Dearly beloved, we gather in this place of justice and community to witness... Dad rises from his seat, microphone in hand. The pastor pauses, confused. This wasn't rehearsed. Before we begin, Dad announces, his courtroom voice filling the space, I'd like to welcome everyone to this celebration of 2 young people who represent the future of our great city. He's supposed to sit down. Instead, he pivots, that practiced smile gleaming. You know, looking at my sons today, I'm reminded that we all have different definitions of success. Evan here has built something remarkable, a brand, a business, a future with this beautiful woman. The knife's coming. I feel it in my chest before he says it. Unlike his older brother, who seems content to, well, let's just say some of us dream bigger than others. Light laughter ripples through the crowd. Evan's face burns red, but he stays silent. In the front row, Sofia covers her mouth in horror. But in the third row, Judge Marjorie Hale slowly rises to her feet.
The laughter dies. 300 people turn to look at the silver-haired woman in navy blue, standing with the authority of 30 years on the bench. "Excuse me," she says, her voice carrying without amplification. "Pastor Kim, might I request a brief pause?" Pastor Jonah blinks. "Ma'am?" "I believe, given the significance of this building, a former courthouse where truth was the highest calling, we should ensure that all facts relevant to these proceedings are properly aired before vows are exchanged." Murmurs rise from the crowd. Dad's smile falters. "Judge Hale, I don't think this is the appropriate..." "Mr. Reyes." Her tone could cut glass. "As an officer of this court, you should appreciate the importance of full disclosure before any binding ceremony." She turns to address the room, every inch the jurist. "This building once housed proceedings where truth mattered more than performance. I suggest we honor that tradition." Riley tugs at her grandmother's dress, whispers something urgent. Judge Hale nods, her eyes finding mine across the crowd. "I believe," she says clearly, "we have a good Samaritan among us who deserves recognition rather than ridicule, someone whose quiet service has touched this family directly. The room holds its breath. Dad's face drains color. Evan looks between me and the judge, understanding dawning. And I realize the choice isn't whether to speak up anymore. The truth is already standing. The silence stretches like a held breath. Judge Hale stands in the sudden quiet. 300 guests frozen between confusion and anticipation. Phones lower at her polite but firm gesture. Pastor Kim, might we relocate the microphone to center aisle? Thank you. Pastor Jonah, clearly out of his depth, but trusting the judge's authority, moves the mic stand. The sound system crackles to life in the marble-walled space. Now then, Judge Hale continues, her voice carrying the weight of decades on the bench. Before we proceed with binding vows, I believe we should address some irregularities that have come to light regarding the funding of this celebration. Dad shoots to his feet. Your Honor, Judge Hale, this is highly irregular. This is a private ceremony, not a courtroom. Mr. Reyes, you practice law. You understand the concept of material facts that affect proceedings. Her tone stays level, but steel underlies it. Please be seated. The command carries such authority that Dad actually sits. Judge Hale turns to the crowd. I'm not here to grandstand, but as someone who has spent her career seeking truth, I cannot witness vows built on deception. She gestures toward the decorated walls. This building once housed proceedings where truth mattered more than performance. Let's honor that tradition with a few simple questions. She looks toward the back of a room. Mr. Benedetti, you manage this venue, correct? Would you please share what you told Mr. Noah Reyes about the after-hours deliveries this week? Carlo stands reluctantly, approaches the microphone. His voice shakes slightly. We had unusual delivery schedules, multiple loads at 2 a.m., all authorized by RF Legal for something called a Community Wellness Fund activation wall. And Mr. Morgan, Taye, you're the caterer? Taye stands from his seat in the vendor section. Yes, ma'am. Someone from RF Legal asked me to bill the same menu twice, once to the wedding, once to this wellness fund. When I refused, they suggested I might have permit troubles if I didn't cooperate. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Judge Hale nods. Pastor Kim, you run the neighborhood pantry, correct? Have you received donations from the Hart Reyes Community Wellness Fund? Pastor Jonah's voice is gentle, but clear. No donations have been received, despite promises made months ago. Our food program is still waiting for the pledged support. The murmurs grow louder. Judge Hale raises a hand for quiet. Mr. Robert Reyes, does your firm manage this wellness fund? Dad's swagger is gone. We provide pro bono legal guidance, yes, but... Simple question, Mr. Reyes. Where are the fund's donations? The question hangs in the air. Dad looks around the room, at Evan, at Sofia, at the cameras still rolling, at the political allies in the front rows. There have been administrative delays. Noah, Judge Hale says, turning to me, would you please share what you've documented? Every eye in the room finds me. The kid who never became anything, according to my father. The medic who slips away from recognition. The brother who was supposed to stay quiet and keep the peace. I step forward, pull out my phone with the photos, the printed invoices Mason helped me organize. The fund is a shell entity, I say, voice steady in the microphone. Sponsor money gets routed through it, but never reaches the promised recipients. It's being used to hide payments that would otherwise look like personal gifts or business kickbacks.
She turns to Evan and Lila, still standing at the altar. Knowing these facts, do you wish to proceed as if nothing has been revealed? The silence stretches like a wire about to snap. 300 guests lean forward, phones forgotten, witnessing something no one will ever forget. Lila stands at the altar in her grandmother's lace, bouquet trembling in her hands. She looks at Evan, whose face has gone pale as his boutonniere. Then at Judge Hale. Finally, her eyes find mine. I need a moment, she says into the microphone, her voice steady despite everything. Evan, can we step aside? They move to the side of the altar, heads bent together in urgent whispers. I catch fragments of, didn't know, have to make this right. What kind of marriage starts with lies? After what feels like hours, but is probably 2 minutes, they return to center. Lila takes the microphone. We're going to halt the ceremony as planned. Gasps echo through the hall. Dad starts to rise, but Judge Hale's look keeps him seated. But
Lila continues. We're not calling off the wedding. We're amending it. If we're going to exchange vows about truth and partnership, then we need to start with truth and partnership. She hands the mic to Evan. His hands shake as he raises it. I want to apologize to Lila, to Pastor Jonah, to everyone who was supposed to benefit from donations that never came. I signed documents I didn't read. I trusted when I should have verified. I chose convenience over conscience. He looks directly at me. And I'm sorry to my brother, who tried to protect our family by telling the truth, while I sat silent and let our father mock him for it. Sofia breaks from the front row, crosses to Noah, whispers, I'm so sorry, loud enough for the front rows to hear. The first crack in the family's united front. Dad tries damage control. This is a misunderstanding that can be resolved Monday in my office. No, Judge Hale's voice cuts clean. Mr. Reyes, this stops today. Here's what happens immediately. All sponsor funds go into escrow pending an independent audit. Written commitment to full restitution begins today, not Monday, and your firm provides complete banking records for the fund by close of business. She softens slightly. I can arrange pro bono auditing services. This can be handled with dignity, but it will be handled thoroughly. Dad's bluster finally collapses. The man who built his life on control and optics stares at 300 witnesses to his son calling him out, his wife crossing lines, his carefully constructed image crumbling in real time. Fine, he says, voice hollow. Fine. I'll sign whatever you want. Judge Hale nods to Pastor Jonah, who steps forward with something like relief. Well then, the pastor says gently, shall we adjourn to the reception hall? I believe we have some paperwork to complete, and Mr. Morgan's excellent food is getting cold. Lila takes Evan's hand, looks out at the crowd. Thank you all for witnessing this. Real love sometimes means stopping the performance to do the right thing. We'll be back in an hour with amended vows about truth, service, and accountability. The crowd begins to move, buzzing with conversation. Some guests look scandalized, others impressed. The influencers are already crafting posts about authentic transparency. But all I can think about is Riley's sketch of the medic who stayed to help, then disappeared. Today, for the first time in my life, I didn't disappear. The reception hall buzzes with an energy I've never felt at a wedding. Round tables still draped in white linen, centerpieces still perfect. But instead of champagne toasts, we have laptops and legal pads scattered between the salad plates. Ty's team serves dinner while we draft accountability in real time. At the head table, a notary, Carlo called his cousin who runs a UPS store, sits between printed forms and Lila's MacBook. Judge Hale has somehow produced reading glasses and a red pen, reviewing documents with the precision of someone who's done this for 30 years. Robert, this disclosure statement needs to be more specific. Administrative oversight does not constitute acceptance of responsibility. Dad sits hunched over the laptop, typing with 2 fingers. The swagger is gone, replaced by something I haven't seen since I was a kid. Shame. Real shame, not the performative kind he uses in court. How's this? He reads from the screen. I, Robert Reyes, acknowledge that RF Legal established the Hart Reyes Community Wellness Fund as a pass-through entity to obscure the source and destination of sponsor payments related to my son's business ventures. No charitable donations were made as promised. Judge Hale nods. Better. Now the restitution plan. Evan signs a commitment letter pledging 15% of his social media revenue to Pastor Jonah's pantry until full restitution is complete. His hands don't shake anymore. There's something like relief in finally owning his choices. What about the sponsors who pull out, Leela asks, scrolling through canceled contracts on her phone. Let them, Judge Hale says firmly. Better fewer sponsors and fraudulent ones. Pastor Jonah approaches with a bottle of sparkling water and a gentle smile. May I offer a blessing for this unusual dinner? The room quiets. Even the influencers lower their phones. Dear God, we thank you for truth that hurts before it heals,
for love strong enough to disrupt false peace, and for the courage to choose integrity over image. His voice carries over the clink of silverware. Bless this work of restoration and help us remember that accountability is not punishment. It's the first step towards genuine community. Amen, Judge Hale says firmly. As the blessing ends, Riley slips between the tables to where I sit. She places her sketchbook beside my plate, open to a new drawing, not the accident scene, but today. The courthouse hall, people standing, truth being told. Thank you, she says simply, for not disappearing this time. Judge Hale catches the exchange, rises from her chair. Ladies and gentlemen, she calls out, I'd like you to meet Noah Reyes. 3 winters ago, he rendered life-saving aid to my granddaughter at a highway accident, then slipped away before anyone could thank him properly. The room turns toward me. Not pity this time, not dismissal. Recognition. Riley's been drawing her rescuer from memory for 3 years, hoping to find him. Today, she recognized his medic patch. Judge Hale's smile is warm. It seems we have more than one truth to celebrate tonight. Applause breaks out, genuine and warm. Dad looks up from his laptop, sees the room honoring the son he spent the evening mocking. I catch his eye across the table. For the first time in years, he doesn't look away. Sunday morning breaks clear and cold over Lake Michigan. No fairy lights this time, no 300 guests, no live stream. Just family and the people who helped us find truth on the courthouse steps. Pale October sun warming the limestone. Leela wears a simple blue dress, something borrowed from Sofia, who insisted she looked beautiful in anything. Evan's in khakis and the flannel shirt he wore to our first job site together when he was 16. Real clothes for real vows. Pastor Jonas stands between them with his worn Bible. No microphone needed for our circle of 20. Judge Hale holds Riley's hand. Ty and Carlo lean against the courthouse pillars. Mason's brought coffee in a thermos that we pass around like communion. Dearly beloved, we gather to witness vows built on truth, tested by fire and strengthened by grace. Leela speaks first, her voice steady in the morning quiet. Evan, I choose you knowing your mistakes and mine. I promise to love you enough to tell hard truths, to build something real together, and to serve our community with hands wide open. Evan's voice breaks only once. Leela, I promise to earn your trust every day, to choose integrity over image, and to remember that real love requires real courage. I hand over the rings. Sophia's diamond reset in new gold, and Evan's grandfather's band polished clean. Simple circles for a simple truth. Love that lasts is love that's honest. They kiss as husband and wife, and Riley claps first, then all of us join in. No cameras catch the moment. It belongs to us. After the ceremony, Dad approaches where I'm helping Sophia fold leftover programs. He moves carefully, like a man learning to walk on new ground. Noah. He stops, starts again. I owe you more than an apology. I owe you the pantry a check. Start there. He nods, pulls an envelope from his jacket. First installment. Judge Hale's auditor should have the full report by Wednesday. We stand there in the October wind, father and son with 3 decades of hurt between us. He extends his hand, and after a moment, I take it. I don't forgive easy, but I'm willing to see what you do next. Fair enough. By afternoon, I'm back in Sophia's kitchen, boxing leftover flowers for the pantry delivery. The house smells like coffee and possibilities. Through the window, I watch cargo ships navigate the harbor, steady, purposeful, carrying what matters from one shore to another. My phone buzzes with a text from Priya. Article goes live tomorrow. Focused on community healing, not scandal. Title, When Love Calls Truth to the Aisle. Perfect. Lakeport looks different now. Still the same smokestacks and gulls, still the same harbor where I learned to count cranes.
But something's changed in the telling of it. Stories matter. Truth matters. And sometimes the quiet guy in the corner has something worth saying after all. The Medic Patch keychain sits on Sofia's counter, next to Riley's sketch. I'll keep both. Reminders that helping people and being seen for it don't have to be separate choices. Outside, the lake rolls steady toward tomorrow. Up next, we have 2 more incredible stories that are waiting for you. Just click the image you want to watch and it will take you there. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe. It would mean a lot.